Dr. Gebhardt insisted on coming along, but now he doesn't seem to be sure if that was a good idea. The Baroness was 3 sheets to the wind. It may be a while before she comes to the door. All right, Doc. I'm off.
Oh no, I'm not going on a manhunt all by myself. Are you okay? Maybe you had better take a rest, in case the blow was more severe.
I'm okay.
Zellner! Up here!
Come on. I think it came from up there.
Sure, you just wanted to get a breath of fresh air. Zellner, look who we have here.
Well, if that's not our shadow.
And our stowaway.
Spent any time hiding in a trunk recently?
Me do nothing.
He claims to be part of the crew. Just wanted to get some fresh air.
Of course.
The Baroness won't open the door, sir.
Understood. Take him to the detention cell, Robert. You were right. There was a stowaway.
Yes, but he can't be the Raven. He's too young.
Right, but that doesn't mean that the Raven isn't lurking here as well.
What was that?
A shot!
It came from one of the cabins.
Oh no! Baroness von Trebitz? Baroness! Open the door!
Step aside, please.
We have a murder on our hands, gentlemen. Hurry, Zellner. The murderer still has to be nearby. There's practically no one on deck. Anyone who's outside is a suspect. This time, we'll get him. Zellner, are you okay?
Yes. Come on. We have to.
Zellner? Zellner! Merde!
Ah, you awake? Sleep well, did you?
I didn't fall asleep voluntarily.
It doesn't matter. We got along just fine without you.
What's the state of play? How was the Baroness killed?
The Baroness was shot in the chest at close range. We'll know more once the doc finishes examining the body in the medical centre.
And no one saw anything suspicious?
No one saw a shadowy raven leaving the Baroness's cabin, if that's what you mean. A lot of people heard the gunshot. Inspector Legrand wants to question the passengers again this morning, once they've all calmed down, and he's had a chance to examine the evidence.
I suppose that you and Legrand inspected the crime scene and the surroundings.
Of course. And we already hit the jackpot. The murder weapon.
Really? Where did you find it?
On the gangway. The gangway for boarding the ship folds up and hooks onto the hull when it's not being used. The murderer probably wanted to throw the gun into the sea. He casually dropped it overboard.
But it landed on the gangway.
Bad luck.
But Legrand and I were on the side deck right after the shot. There was no one there.
Maybe the murderer threw the gun away later. We recovered it in the early hours.
Have you arrested anyone yet?
You mean besides the Arab?
He could hardly have committed the murder. You must have been with him when it happened.
We heard the shot on the forecastle. I locked our friend in the detention cell in the cargo hold and then went up to assist Legrand. You were already sleeping the sleep of the just.
Any other suspects?
No. Seconds after the alarm went off, the decks were swarming with frightened passengers.
Yes. A clever way to stay incognito during the commotion.
But we still have our primary suspect, the Raven.
You really think he's returned?
Well, I think that no one knows as much about the Raven as Legrand.
But still, it all seems so incredible. I didn't pass out last night because of the blow to my head, did I?
Seems unlikely. Inspector Legrand thinks you were drugged.
But how? The champagne.
Who gave you the glass of champagne?
Captain de Conti.
Interesting.
It should be possible to find traces of the tranquilizer in the glass. About the champagne, shouldn't it be possible to find traces of the tranquilizer in the glass?
That is exactly what Legrand is trying to do.
Without a laboratory?
Oh, he's got a lab. His cabin is packed with all the latest forensic stuff. It's quite impressive what the inspector can do.
A competent man, no doubt, and surprisingly well prepared.
And diligent. He's been at it all night with his brushes and tinctures and glasses and everything, working like a man possessed. I wouldn't want to be the Raven now.
I think I'll look for Inspector Legrand now.
Do what you think's best.
You won't get rid of me. I'm here to stay, Constable Oliver.
Be that as it may, Inspector Legrand ordered me to guard the cargo hold with our special guest. That's fine by me. Inspector Legrand may be able to get by without sleep for days on end, but not me. It's not easy playing with the big boys, Constable Zellner.
No, it certainly isn't. I'd really like to lie in the sun and take a nap, but I don't have time for that at the moment. These things made quite a racket last night. I couldn't hear myself think. Big, soft towels. I could reserve a deck chair with it. No, better not. The cabin was sealed. I'm pretty sure the seal doesn't have any legal relevance here on the open sea, but I'm still dependent on Legrand letting me join his team. I better not blow it by breaking his seal without permission. I better ask My investigations would be much more difficult if he were upset with me because of such things. A model of the Lydia before it was rebuilt. It used to be a freighter. The wide hallways, the cabins, and the saloon were added later.
Come in.
Hello, Dr. Gebhardt.
And there's the next one.
Excuse me?
You want something else from me, don't you?
I'm afraid I do.
What a first day at work. Well,
What's the result of your examination of the victim?
she's dead.
I didn't make you work all night long, Dr. Gebhardt.
She was shot. Point-blank shot. Probably with a pistol. It seems like she was lying in bed. The shot struck her heart. She died immediately.
One shot?
More were unnecessary. And we only heard one shot, no?
And there's just one entrance wound.
Just one.
I am told that I was drugged.
That's how it seems.
What can you tell me about it?
Me? Why should that be my business?
Haven't you analyzed the glass?
No, I haven't. The inspector said he's the better chemist. I let him do it. That way I could at least concentrate on the body.
Do you think the Baroness might have been drugged? She was very tired and unsteady when Legrand and I saw her.
Yeah, I heard about that. I must have just missed her in the saloon. And without having seen her myself, it is hard to make a diagnosis.
Of course. Can you say something about her general health?
She was quite overweight, and the butler said that she suffered from diabetes. Despite that, she hadn't visited a doctor for several years.
Doesn't sound good.
Happens more frequently than you might suppose. Some people are scared of doctors and pay with an early death. It is possible that the Baroness wouldn't have lived much longer anyway.
Do you know whose glass I drank from?
What do you mean?
Captain de Conti handed me a glass of champagne. But where did he get it?
I don't know. Did you ask him?
I'm just asking because you were also in the saloon when the champagne was served.
Yes, but I only entered the saloon a few seconds before you did. I didn't manage to get a drink myself.
Which, in retrospect, is lucky.
Ah, you're right about that.
Have you already removed the bullet?
Did Legrand send you? What is that Frenchman's problem? I already told you. I will get in touch as soon as I have it. That is also what I told the constable, who he kept sending all night long, once I finally got rid of Legrand himself.
Did he look over your shoulder?
He probably wanted to take the scalpel from my hand and hack away himself. But this is my surgery, and I will not let amateurs interfere with my work.
That's understandable. How much longer will it take?
I have just finished. Send my regards to His Majesty.
Thanks. I think that's it for now.
No. That is it for now, then, and later. I'm going to lie down for a few hours. Can you tell that to your boss?
But... could I at least have the key?
Absolutely not.
But if we have to examine the victim again...
Then the esteemed inspector knows where to find me. In my cabin. In bed. Good night, Constable Zellner.
That's the bullet from the Baroness's corpse. I don't know much about guns. Legrand will be able to tell me more about it. That is Legrand's cabin.
Come in. Ah, Zellner. Are you ready?
Good morning, Inspector Legrand. My head is pounding, but I think I'm okay.
Chloral hydrate.
Hmm?
That's why you have a headache. I found traces of it in your champagne glass.
And this chloral hydrate?
Is a tranquilizer. Can be dissolved in alcohol. The effect begins in minutes and lasts for hours. Who gave you the glass of champagne?
I believe it was Captain de Conti.
If believing were enough for us, we'd have become priests, Constable. Be a policeman and find out for sure.
Understood. What have you found out so far?
The Baroness was shot in the chest at close range. We heard the shot. The murderer quickly fled the cabin and dropped the murder weapon over the railing later. A simple story so far.
But why was her cabin door locked?
Exactly. If the murderer wanted to make it seem like a suicide, he'd have shot her in the head and left the gun at the crime scene.
And if it was murder, why did he go to all the trouble of locking the door from inside? And how did he manage that anyway?
Especially since we arrived just a few seconds later and didn't see anyone near the cabin.
Something doesn't make sense here.
No, it doesn't, and it's driving me crazy.
Did you find the murder weapon?
On the gangway on the side of the ship. I suspect the murderer tried to drop it into the sea. He would have stood close to the railing to let it fall unseen.
And since he doesn't know the ship, he had bad luck and dropped it right onto the gangway.
Indeed. And do you find that probable?
Not a bit.
Neither do I.
What kind of a gun is it?
A pistol, a Luger .08.
Antique.
Manufactured 1,000,000 times during and after the First World War. Austrian model. The owner is David Kreutzer, the violinist. We found him tonight totally drunk on the bow of the ship. He confirmed that it's his gun, but he claims that it was stolen from him.
Fingerprints?
Nothing. But it's worth mentioning that the clip was missing 2 bullets.
And it's definitely the murder weapon.
The ballistic tests are incomplete. Actually, I've been waiting far too long for the bullet recovered from the corpse. Pay the good doctor a visit, Zellner, and see that he does his job.
About the bullet. Here it is.
Excellent. Give it to me. As I suspected, a 7.65 Parabellum Luger.
Don't you want to examine it in more detail?
When I have time. For now, though, we can assume that we had the murder weapon. There can't be too many antique Luger .08 pistols on board.
May I take a look at the Baroness's cabin?
We already searched it thoroughly.
Sure. But what about now, by daylight?
Yes, fine, it can't hurt. Here, take this with you.
Thanks. I'll let you know if I find anything important.
But only then, please. I'm very busy.
Of course. Do you believe the violinist?
He'll be the first person I question. He claims he can't remember anything from the last few hours. Says he drank a bottle of schnapps.
He was on the train and he doesn't have an alibi. His drunkenness could be a smokescreen.
He fits the profile. He travels a lot, has access to high society. Could be interesting.
You think that the jewel thief is the murderer?
Our friend would have needed another key to open the safe and steal the second eye, the one the Baroness was carrying. At least, that's what we implied.
What do you mean?
The Baroness was famous for her forgetfulness. I convinced her to give me the third key. It seems safer for the eye.
The thief searches the Baroness's cabin looking for the third key.
She returns from the saloon earlier than expected.
Surprises him, and he can't allow her to identify him.
He imprisons her until the coast is clear, and then shoots her.
And thus, the thief becomes a murderer.
But still doesn't have all the keys.
Are you sure that there's no bomb inside this time?
Professor Lucien locked it in front of an audience, and it will be opened for the first time in Cairo.
Let's hope so.
It would take hours to crack it, and you'd need heavy machinery.
Or the keys.
Or the 3 keys, that's right.
Do you really think that the Raven is behind all this?
He wrote the letter that was on the safe in the train. Without the letter, we wouldn't have opened the safe, and the bomb wouldn't have exploded.
But it doesn't seem like him, does it? The Raven was famous in part because he never hurt anyone, much less killed anyone, during a burglary.
It's his handwriting, and he called me Nico. No one else does that. I chased that man across Europe for years. It is him. It has to be him.
But the evidence...
Enough.
I'll be on my way. I want to find out who gave me the drugged champagne.
Good idea.
Inspector Legrand? Are you okay? Maybe you should take a break.
I can sleep once I've caught the Raven. Goodbye, Constable.
Be seeing you. Legrand is risking not just his career, but his health as well on his hunt for the Raven. He's working like a demon. Maybe that's why he caught the Raven and no one else. I'm not paying for this trip, and that's a fair price for my cabin. It's rather plain, shall we say. No, I've slept enough. An alarm like this one was set off yesterday. This one hasn't been set off. The security seal is intact. An evacuation plan? And some tips from the doctor for avoiding seasickness, sunburn, and the like. And here, a schedule of activities. A drink with the captain, a shuffleboard competition on the forecastle. That's about it. A real barrel of fun. A pitiful attempt to make the interior of the ship seem less dreary. A bit of paint on the walls would have helped more, especially since a plant won't survive long without daylight. This is the first murder scene I've ever set foot in. The most unportable portmanteau I've ever seen. A portable bar is more like it. Must be hard work transporting this big, heavy thing halfway around the globe. And the Baroness was lucky that the other freight cars were only lightly damaged by the explosion. An impressive piece, but I don't think it'll get me anywhere with the murder investigations. The notepad has the ship's emblem on it. I suppose all the first-class cabins have them. It says, Inspector, be in the saloon at 10 p.m. There is a murderer on board and I will expose him. B. The Baroness seems to have known the murderer, and that means that the Raven can't be the murderer. He never killed anybody. Legrand probably never got the message, otherwise he'd have said something. The mannequin surely came with the cabin. A mannequin for the Baroness's clothes would have a more generous figure. Sunflowers. By Van Gogh, I presume. He liked to paint that sort of thing. Can't be an original. They cost thousands of francs. A big, ugly, and impractical vase. If it had a wider opening, one could at least use it as an umbrella stand. Can't see anything. Wow, heavier than it looks. Aha! Nothing special. Although, it seems like one of the feathers was scorched at the top, literally burnt. I'd better take it with me. Why were the down feathers tossed in the vase? Or is there anything else in there? There may be something else in the vase, but the neck is too narrow to reach in with my hand. A tape recorder. Must go with the built-in speakers. Probably part of the cabin's furnishings. The tape recorder is older than the hills, but it was once very expensive. Top of the range. And it doesn't come cheap. Strange. There's only one reel. And it's the wrong one. No. No sign of the original reel. A reel made by Zeibling. I know the brand. Zeibling's tapes can be overwritten many times without losing quality. They're used in offices so that executives can record messages for the secretaries on the same tape over and over again. But they're not good for much else. They're robust, but they don't offer much in terms of sound quality. There's still blood on the mattress. The sheet and the blanket have already been removed. To analyze them, I suppose. Nothing. The blood spot is the only sign that someone committed a crime in here. Somehow... That's odd. The blood is so... red. Shouldn't it gradually darken in the air? Turn brown? The unusual color of the blood could be something that Legrand and Dr. Gebhardt missed last night. All cats are gray in the dark, as the saying goes. I should take a sample. The unusual... All cat... Something's under there. More feathers. And they're singed as well. I'll put them with the others. Apparently, the Baroness didn't have time to unpack her bags. Or rather, didn't have time to tell her butler to unpack them for her. Sifting through all that would take ages. But here, the Baroness's handbag. Ha-ha! A small leather-bound book. 1964 is engraved on it. This must be the Baroness's diary. Cosmetics, a handkerchief, a spectacles case. Nothing special. Let's see. Yes, it's a diary, all right. Difficult to read. No entry from yesterday. A brief, sober description of what she's done recently. Met Morris, arranged benefit concert for renovation of Louvre Southeastern Wing, Times photo shoot for Eye of Sphinx, BM, poor excuse for photographer, too fidgety, and so on. This entry looks strange. The handwriting is shaky, difficult to read. Dreamt of Bubby. Yesterday would have been his birthday. Next week, Jay's. The Baroness was a very busy woman, and it looks like she had to cope with loss. She writes about Bubby and Jay. Neither seem to be alive anymore. Almost every family lost loved ones in the war. Maybe hers as well. I'll leave it there. I don't have time to read all of it. The portholes face the side deck. If someone climbed out of the cabin through a porthole, Legrand and I would have seen them. The portholes are locked. One cannot open or close them from outside. It's the same problem as with the door. If someone left the cabin through the porthole, how did they lock it? And the Baroness wasn't shot from outside. The doctor said she was shot at close range. The message from the inspector, the Sibling brand, the tape that came on it. There may be something else in the vase, but the neck is too narrow to reach in. The unusual color of the blood. All cats are... The Baroness's butler looks like he didn't get much sleep. I would describe his facial expression as worried. Hello, Mr. Inch.
Oh, Constable, hello.
You look the worse for wear. It must be terrible for you.
Quite terrible. No one will hire me now.
Excuse me?
My mistress was murdered. Would you hire a butler who's been mixed up in a murder?
But if it turns out that you're not guilty...
If. But what if not? Who else would they blame? There are no gardeners on this ship.
I understand your problem. Under these circumstances, I'm sure you'd answer some questions that could help clear your name, wouldn't you?
Of course.
Did you notice anything suspicious last night?
No, sir. After the Baroness went to the saloon, I went to the forecastle. I was there until the alarm went off. I went to the side deck and arrived shortly after Professor Lucien and Miss Miller. We found you and Inspector Legrand there. You were unconscious, and the inspector asked us to take care of you.
Did you hear the gunshot?
No, just the alarm, sir.
You said you were on the forecastle. It sounded like the Baroness let you have the rest of the night off.
Not entirely, sir. One of the crew informed me that the Baroness wanted to be roused at 10:15.
Right. Why was that?
I suppose that she wanted to toast the success of the journey with the captain and the other passengers.
She hadn't intended to take a nap then.
That was not her way, sir. She had a lot of spirit, shall we say, when it came to social engagements and a glass or two of champagne.
The Baroness's cabin seems to have been ransacked.
Indeed, sir, by the Baroness herself.
Really?
She was searching for something the entire afternoon.
And did she find it?
I think she did, sir, yes. She was in high spirits when she finally left her cabin.
You wouldn't happen to know what she was looking for, would you?
I'm afraid not.
Would you describe the Baroness as orderly?
Well, she always had a lot of responsibilities, sir.
That doesn't answer my question.
She used to take a lot of luggage on journeys, and I helped her keep track of it as best I could. She was always very angry when she couldn't find something.
What about the photos and the documents I saw in her cabin?
I really don't know. They were out of bounds to me, sir. Memories from the war, I'd say. They meant a lot to her.
The Baroness seemed to be pretty drunk the last time I saw her.
Is that so?
Does that surprise you? Did the Baroness not drink?
Oh, yes, she drank. It was no secret.
I understand. How serious was her habit?
Serious enough, sir.
Was she under any medical supervision?
Certainly not, sir. She adamantly refused to see a doctor. Like so many elderly women, she had a distinct aversion to hospitals and the like.
How long had you worked for the Baroness?
6 months, sir.
Only 6 months. I always thought that butlers stayed with their employers for decades.
Those decades have to start at some point, Constable. Her former butler wasn't able to fulfill his duties any longer. Gout, sir.
I understand.
I took on his duties and hoped for a secure position for the next 20 years.
May I ask what happened to your arm?
A souvenir from the war, sir.
Doesn't it hinder your work?
Yes, sir, obviously.
I didn't mean to offend you.
The Baroness had a soft spot for disabled veterans. I think she'd been through a lot herself.
I think that's all for now.
Please, sir, find the murderer. You have to clear me of all suspicion.
Some of the down feathers I found in the vase are singed.